I am obsessed with fertility and
Yeah.
I would say preconception work.
Yeah. So let's dive in right there because I want to talk about like your hot topic when it comes to like male sperm quality and stuff like that. So we'll dive in there.
It's ridiculous that there's so much pushback to just having your husband be healthy for 4 months minimum before you conceive.
If a husband sits down in your office and, you know, all eyes on him, what does he need to do to put his best foot forward for his family? I just love that you're so vulnerable about is how tough the first 6 weeks are for you after having a baby.
It's okay to not like a part of motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't love being pregnant. I hate having a limitation on my body. It just bothers me.
Like, you don't really even like breastfeeding.
And I don't like breastfeeding because it's so constant. I'm honestly having these feelings. I'm not a terrible person. I'm just being honest. Other people have these feelings. They're just not honest.
Actually, one thing I want to bring up that you've taught me, you talk about how you can't keep them from crying. Like, you keep them alive, but they don't have to be happy all the time. Like, it's okay if they're sad. It's okay if they get hurt. Like, you're not going to be able to protect them from everything.
Your job is not to keep your kid happy. Your job is to make an adult that does not suck, if I can simply put it that way.
Hi mamas, my name is Megan Norkis and welcome to Our Virtual Village. Starting this podcast was inspired by a local mom group that I went to during my pregnancy and postpartum journey. Connecting with and relating to other moms was a major key for me as I was navigating all the new things that come with being a new mom. So my goal with this podcast is to bring those conversations and stories from my community to a virtual platform, and that's gonna bless moms everywhere. I'm so excited. My hope is that as you listen to this episode, you can hear from and learn about the common struggles that other moms are having in the trenches of motherhood with you, and feel encouraged because you're not momming alone. We are all winging it at this mom thing, and we can all learn from and help each other. So we're excited to have you as part of our village, and let's dive into the conversation.
Here we are. We're in another episode of Our Virtual Village with the one and only Dr. Bridget Farrar, and I feel so blessed to have you here. First of all, because you're a really busy mom. You have 3 kids and another one on the way, literally any second. You're very pregnant, which is awesome. So a mom of 4 and also a business owner and a chiropractor, and you pour so much into our community, and you have blessed me on my journey in motherhood, like literally so much that I'm like, how can I squeeze all the wisdom you've given me into one podcast episode? It would probably be impossible, or it'd have to be like 100 hours long. So
we can just do another one.
Yeah, we'll just have to do more than one. But yeah, I'm going to do my best to just bless everybody else with the knowledge you blessed me with. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited.
Yeah.
I can't have the baby in the next minute though. I'm only 36 weeks, so I won't have a legal home birth. So
yeah.
One more week.
Okay, one more week.
One more week until we're in the window. Not that my baby's going to listen to the window, but just, it's easier to be overdue than underdue.
Yeah. You're getting there though. You're there. You're at the end of the road. I'm super excited to watch your family continue to grow. And trying to pick topics for this podcast is actually really challenging because you have taught me such a wide array of different things because, like I said, you're a chiropractor, so you have tons of knowledge, obviously, with like the physical body and everything, like in pregnancy. But then also, like, you are so wise when it comes to postpartum, but you're also an experienced mother. So kind of in this podcast, I have different like buckets in a way.
I have a lot of buckets.
Yeah. I'm like, I want to talk to birth workers, but I also want to talk to like moms who are just getting started, like in the trenches, like with their maybe like first kid. But then I really have learned most from you as a seasoned mom because you have 3 kids going on 4 kids, and you also have treated hundreds and probably thousands and thousands of families over your career. So the amount of experience you have just with families and with moms is such a blessing. So those are kind of the nuggets I want to draw out the most is like a seasoned mom, because I used to be super stressed with like 1 kid, and you're like, listen girl, it gets crazier. So that's the perspective I'm trying to capture here. So yeah, I what I love most about you, just real quickly, I want to put on record, is that you are so passionate about like creating a village, and that passion is kind of honestly just transferred to me and been a huge reason for like this podcast. But you just want to make sure moms are supported like in every season. And there's a few things I'll never forget. And one of them is one of my first outings with 2 kids. When I just had my second daughter 6 months ago, I came to your office because I've been coming to your mom group for like 2 years. And you greeted me at the door, asked me to carry a bag. Like you you're pregnant yourself and you have an office full of people at your mom group and you're like, it's Megan's first outing. She has a baby. I'm going to make sure she feels seen and heard. And I would say everyone that is around you has that same experience.
Well, that's nice to hear. I don't even remember that. So
it really stuck with me. Like as I was reflecting, I'm like, gosh, you just go the extra mile. You really want people to feel seen and taken care of in their most vulnerable moments. And I think that is like just a huge part of like who you are. So thank you for that.
Well, it's been a very long journey for me to accept motherhood because I was gonna, when I graduated, I was gonna be a solo female chiropractor. I hadn't met my husband. I was never gonna be my husband. I was just gonna be this person that like served people and all this stuff. And I had like this vision for my life. And I had seen my mom be a chiropractor, and I'm the 9th chiropractor in my family. So I see my sister and her husband be a chiropractor. My other sister husband's a chiropractor. My uncle, like I've just seen a lot of what it was. And I was like, I knew what I want. I knew what I was going to be good at. And it took me a long time to accept that I was a chiropractor, because I think it's a calling, not just a profession you can choose out of a hat. And so as I had children, I just like had the baby and like went back to being me, not honoring like the transition of the mother, not doing that. And that definitely, I think, hindered my son, who is like the love of my life. I have a boy and 2 girls right now, and then this mystery baby. We never find out what we're having, and that's fun. Okay.
So cool.
Because you don't have to plan everything. But I also don't do nurseries, and we don't name our kid till we meet them. So like all the things that the type A people want to do before their kid comes, I am like personally fundamentally against for our family. I think it's great for you. But anyway, so I had Vincent, and I like basically was like, oh, I'm a chiropractor and I'm pregnant. Oh, I'm a chiropractor and I'm a mom. And so I just kind of ignored the transition. And so that affected him. And I'll say this, and I'll probably say it a million times before I die. If I was basing having more kids on how the first kid went, he would be an only child. He was a hard baby, because it was a hard time. We had opened an office. We had just gotten married. We dated for 3 months before we were engaged. Like, when we do it all the way for our family. And so when I see a woman aching through the transition that I ignored and struggled through, and when I see her struggling through breastfeeding, which was, I will say, the single hardest thing I ever did in my life, other than like surviving my mom passing away, that breastfeeding, if I hadn't had the mindset of like, this is do or die for him, then I would not be a breastfeeding mom. I would have given it up. Maybe I would have become pumper. Maybe I would have been like formula's biggest advocate. Who knows? Because of that, I stuck through a horrific start. And so when I see moms there, I'm like, God, it would have been so nice to have someone open the door and say like, hey, it's okay. And can you please try to stick with this for 6 to 8 weeks? Because I literally understand how hard it is. And then as I've journeyed through having another one, and we went through secondary infertility, and then we had a loss at 18 weeks, and then having a Nora, and that's our 3rd daughter, and having her go to the NICU. I've like had all of these experiences where I'm just like, gosh, this is so hard. Yeah. Why do it alone? But also, why aren't we talking about the hard? Yeah. And you and I had a great conversation about this. One of my favorite conversations we ever had is just like, nobody's letting the people who have a hard birth talk.
Yeah. That's actually one of the first ways we connected, which is so cool how God did that, because really the main reason, I started seeing your husband as a chiropractor, and you were on maternity leave, so I hadn't even met you. But then both of you together started hosting like talks, like you call it the village talks, which is great. And I was going to even mention, like, everybody says they want to find their village, but you're like the definition of being a villager. Like, because I wouldn't have really thought about, I mean, I'm a kind person, I think, but I wouldn't have thought of like meeting someone at the door and offering to carry a bag. But now that that's been done to me, I'm like, well, I have to obviously do that to every other mom I ever see in that scenario. So it's like when you step out and like, help a mom, then they reciprocate it to others and like pay it forward. So, but anyways, I came to your village talks, and that's when we first met, and I felt like God told me to share my birth story with you. I thought it was kind of random. I'm like, I don't really know Dr. Bridget, but maybe she has some words of wisdom or something. I don't know why God keeps putting on my heart. And once you shared my birth story, it opened up your birth story. And that was like one of the first times we like actually connected, because we've both had very kind of like different births with a lot of variables, traumatic in ways, confusing,
rough.
And
they were like, rough.
Yeah, not fairy dust, beautiful rainbow, like, birth stories. So when we connected on that, it was like, oh, there's other moms out there that also like maybe there's an actual community here of women who also don't, just have perfect births. So that was really meaningful to me. And you actually, one of my favorite things that I hear you say all the time is hang out with other moms who have more kids than you. And I put that little piece of advice in my back pocket and started making friends with people like yourself who have 3 and 4 kids, because it really is just such a great like perspective shift, because I want to keep having children. So it like kind of roughs you up a little bit.
Yes.
So yeah, I can't believe like 3 kids is next for me, because I used to, when I had my 1 kid and I met you and you have 3 kids, I'm like, wow, she has 3 kids. Like that's just seemed like so far away.
Your first kid is paralyzing, right? You're an idiot. Like, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
No one's ever done this. There's no course. There's no training. We don't have a high school class. Like, I don't know if you in your high school, you carried around one of those like dumb flower babies. They now give, I know at Ponte Vedra High School, they give you a robot baby. Oh, wow. And you have to have this wrist on, and it tells you if you held it long enough, and like you can fail the class. You have it for 3 days. You have to pick it up when it's crying. It's like a whole thing.
Actually, I just remembered I did have an egg baby.
Yes.
It was a little egg. I didn't even remember that was in 9th grade.
That is it. That was your motherhood training.
I didn't even remember that until you just unlocked it.
But that's all we get. And then
crazy.
you like get to see your mom, right? And then you're coming off of like 15 to 21 where you're like angsty. Maybe you weren't angsty with your mom. Most people I talk to have an angsty time with their mom in that time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're like, oh, I'm not going to do things like, you're only thinking about what you're not going to do. And I remember my older sisters having kids, and I've been like, oh, I'm never doing screens. I'm never giving my kids candy. I'm never going to be a rewards-based parent. I was the best parent ever.
When you didn't have kids.
When I didn't have kids. And my sister loves to point that out to me. I was talking to my sister last night. I was like, I wish I could just call my mom in heaven and ask her how I'm still alive. And she's like, yeah, I don't really know how you made it. You were hard. And I was hard. I was a hard kid. I have a hard kid. One of my kids and I struggle a lot with each other, and it's because she's me. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And I love her and I love her spirit. And it's very cool to see me with a dad and a solid family and not like, because we went through a lot as kids. And it's just like cool to see that. But also I'm like, stop. Mm-hmm. Why can't you listen to me?
Yeah, you have to learn how to parent yourself.
And so I think that is important, because we have absolutely no training, and there's no instruction manual for your baby. Every baby is different, like you have now experienced. I'm sure I think I told you at least 150 times, like your second baby is not going to be the same as your first baby.
And you can hear that so many times, but until you experience, I'm like, whoa, this baby is so different.
So different. It's a whole different soul. And you think about all the people you meet, but it doesn't translate to your kids, because as a mom, part of your brain is numb. Like the thinking part, you're just really in the feeling part and the reactive part, but the thinking part is not there. Like you had time to think before your first baby, and then the first baby comes, and then basically we're just reacting to what's happening in our family dynamic as each kid and as each person comes a part of it, and as each season passes, because you're going to have amazing seasons in parenthood. Oh, yeah. You're going to have horrible seasons in parenthood. And it's just whatever you can be to another person. And the storytelling gift that I have, and the extroversion that I have, and all of that has just been gifts that God gave me to use to just tell moms like, hey, this sucks. It's hard. It's okay to be mad, because like we lost a baby before this baby. So I've lost 2 babies, and I have this battle in my brain. I'm like, oh, should I feel guilty because I'm complaining about being pregnant, as I help women who can't achieve pregnancy achieve it. Right. One of my favorite lines that I have is I knock chicks up. I can't actually physiologically do that. So it's funny. But when I complain about being pregnant, I feel guilt and shame, which is from the devil, about it, because I wanted the baby. I want the baby so bad. I want 6 to 8 kids, and I'm going to turn 42. So like, can I do it? I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, well, I'm 40. I'm like, so I'm 41. Like, I'm hoping to have 2 more. They're like, 2 more? Where are you going to put them? I'm like, I'll figure it out, but I'm not there yet.
Which is actually a huge topic I'm really excited to dive into. I guess first is fertility. This is something you are very passionate about. I call you a fertility expert. Did I get that from you? Do you call yourself a fertility expert? Or did I make that
was
up?
Driving here going, I really feel like my husband and I should be able to claim that we're parenting experts. Don't think being a parenting expert means you're good at parenting. I think it means you know a lot.
Yeah, you know a lot about different methods, different things.
Like things that work. We've tried a lot of things. And so I I am obsessed with fertility and I would say preconception work.
Yeah. So let's dive in right there because I want to talk about like your hot topic when it comes to like male sperm quality and stuff like that. So we'll dive in there. But also just in general, if people are wanting to get pregnant, maybe they're having a little bit of trouble, or maybe it's just like something they're going to like look at next year or whatever. What are some things people can be doing to prepare their body, both men and women, like supplements, chiropractic care, obviously? Like,
let's do some hot takes.
Let's go.
Hot takes. Hot take number 1: 70% of your kid's gene expression comes from dad. Not fair. Mm-hmm. That little gorilla is going to come out of you looking just like the gorilla you mated with. That's what it's going to happen. It is so frustrating after all the work that you go through. But so their genetic expression, their long-term health, it comes from the paternal side.
70%.
70%.
Because actually me and my husband, I won't say we're arguing about this last night, but I was like telling him some of the things I was going to bring up to you. And he's like, I need you to ask about the fertility thing because it doesn't make sense. It's 50-50. It's the sperm and the egg.
It's not.
So there you go, husband, Alex.
Alex and I love a debate.
Yeah.
Alex and I are very similar. So we really get into the time. We just argued about introversion and extroversion being real. Even before we came in here to do this, I was like, he like just said it. I was like, gosh, Alex, every time we have a thing, we can just
like rage bait each other.
And I love it. I mean, I love a debate. I love it. I love talking with people about things. I love people challenging it. And I'm not a studies person. There's plenty of studies. You can look up sperm and studies. You can look up DNA fragmentation in sperm. You can look at all this stuff. Here's the crap culture that we live in. Okay, the crap culture that we live in is that women take a prenatal, they prepare, they do the courses, they do this, and guys go on a joyride, plant the seed, and they check out. There's no preparation on their part. And that's not because they're doing that on purpose. There's no part of our culture that trains them.
Yeah.
But if you go and you look at dog breeding, horse breeding, and bull breeding specifically, all of those care about the seed. So if the male person is not, animal, I should say, is not good enough and their line doesn't prove it, they will not get anyone to mate with them. And they always look to the man.
That's really interesting.
In all of them. In all of those breeds.
So they just find some random like cow to get pregnant, yes. But the actual male is...
The male, because that determines the success of the sex. Now, and women are good breeders, but honestly, because female animals, having the babies is not, we don't mess with it. We just let it happen, like a home birth. Mm-hmm. They don't think there's no one having a bad time having babies. Like you don't look at a girl cow and go, oh, you have a bad time having a baby. You just expect her to have the baby, which is what I wish we could do. But with the boys, they're like, oh, look at this quality in them. Does he have the right muscle tone? Does he throw big babies? Like my friend breeded cows, and there's polled and unpolled, which is horns and no horns. And so if you have an A2 cow that throws no polled babies, that's what they call it, throwing babies, which is funny to me. That is an ideal mate for and then you pay a stud fee of hundreds or thousands of dollars just for them to not jump on the back of your animal, and then you have to nurse her, be her doula through all of her pregnancy and birth, but you paid for good seed. Yeah. But we don't do that. And so there was this great reel a little while ago, and the guy was like, if you have to carry the baby for 9 months, I should prepare for 9 months. And I don't think anything more simply put could ever be put.
Yeah.
Why don't you have to now? You only need 70 days to like really reboot your sperm. But if you had 140 days, or you had, 3 or 4 cycles of 170 days, then of 70 days, you would be healthier and healthier and healthier.
Right. So might as well just be the healthiest you've ever been and then reproduce.
Yes. And then why not? And so I have arguments with men. They don't want to stop drinking. They don't want to stop smoking weed. They don't want to eat right. They don't want to start working out. They don't want to give up looking at screens all night, whether they play video games or they work too much or whatever. They don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, this kid is forever. Mm-hmm. And I'm not asking you for forever.
It's just a time investment.
It's a time investment. Yeah. Or if I say, hey, for the next 120 days while we revamp your wife's eggs and revamp your sperm almost 2 whole times, I want you to abstain. And they're like, what? I want you to I do not want you to put any batter in the oven. I'm not saying you can't get freaky, but I want you to wait. Mm-hmm. Because what we're seeing, and if you Google this, you can Google sperm count in 2050, and it says it's forecasted to be 0. That's what it's forecast to be. We are forecasted to become a sterile race because people don't eat well, because they're nuking their balls with their phones in their pockets, because they're putting laptops on their laps, because they're stressed because of endocrine disruptors. Then the hardest couple to get pregnant in my sphere is an upper middle class couple. Because people like crackheads have babies all the time. You know why? Because crackheads don't care. Crackheads are just looking for today's fix. They don't have a stress life, and then they're high. So they're not stressed.
They're chilling.
So they're getting knocked up. And people are like, this is injustice. And I'm like, they're chilling. You're not chilling. You need to chill.
So what are the things that maybe they're having trouble getting pregnant or just looking to get pregnant in the next few months?
First thing out of my mouth, has your husband had done a sperm test? 90% of the time, it's a no. The 10% that it was 2 years ago.
So you just think you should always get a baseline?
You need a baseline. Every 70 days, he's bringing a new batch to the table. So if a year ago his sperm was great, it has nothing to do with today. So I need a current picture of his health, because men are feeling things about their fertility journey.
Well, and I will say, men are very defensive. Even
So
last night.
defensive.
Let me just say, and I'm not trying to call my husband out because he would probably just tell you straight up.
Yeah.
He said this. I was like, oh, I'm going to talk to her about fertility. And he's like, oh, and how it's all the man's fault and how the man has to blah. I'm like, yeah, whoa. Like, why are you getting so emotional? Like, they're like, flags go up and they get super defensive about like
men and
the quality of their sperm.
Marriage, parenting.
I'm like, I work on my body the whole time I'm pregnant. So all I'm saying is there's some work to be done.
Yeah.
So like I have a close friend of mine who just had a miscarriage, unfortunately. It's very devastating. And I was like, well, when you're open to talking about it, like, the husband's role has a lot to do with it. So like, that's something I didn't understand. If you guys have any questions about that, I want to point you in the right direction. What would you tell if that couple came to you? What would you tell them? Like, listen,
we know that I'm blunt already. If you haven't picked up on that so far, is that I say to people, early miscarriage is linked to placental failure. Placenta is built by the husband. If you could build a placenta on your own, Megan, you would have one in your body.
Right.
So the sperm has to bring the architectural plans for the placenta. Morning sickness linked to placental insufficiency. Placental insufficiency. Who made the placenta? The husband. Preeclampsia linked to the placenta. Gestational diabetes linked to the placenta. Midline defects on the baby linked to the placenta. It's all going back to the first 13 weeks, because at 13 weeks, between 12 and 13 weeks, your placenta takes over. You're building this placenta with his DNA, his matter, his plans. And if his plans are crap because the sperm were drunk, because the sperm didn't have nutrients, then you're going to have a crappy. So people are like, oh, my placenta failed. It got too old.
And the woman carries a lot of like shame and guilt, or
Yes.
especially after a miscarriage. They're like,
Well,
oh, what's wrong with my
lonely.
body?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me? Like maybe I can't have a baby, but
Let me do endometriosis exploratory surgery. Let me do pelvic floor therapy. Let me do a saline bath and put saline all the way up my uterus, which almost always leads to pelvic inflammatory disease for a while and disrupts the biome of the vagina. Let me get this. Let me do this. Let me do this. And the guy's just like, well, it looks hard, honey.
yeah, I'm going to keep drinking. And, I'm sure I had nothing to do with it because I'm not the one that's pregnant.
Yeah. And that's our culture.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So what they bring to the table is so much. And so if a woman is sick or she has hyperemesis, right? People are like, oh, take Unisom B6. That's what they say. That's the number one recommended thing. Not why did we get here? What is going on? There's a lady who's really famous on Instagram and she has it and she didn't have it with her last baby and she had lost a baby and it was a whole thing. And she's like, it's lemonade. Lemonade fixed it. And I was like, no, your husband took responsibility. I guarantee for his health. I guarantee if we delve deep into it that when you lost that baby, he changed. Something shifted in him. When we lost an early baby, so we lost one son at 18 weeks and we lost the baby early, my husband took it personally. And because of everything that we know and everything that we've been through, and he joined a gym, started eating perfect, got on top of his supplements, stopped putting himself last, went to bed. And it was a big shift for him because he was coasting.
And now look at you.
Yeah, and I'm knocked up. Woohoo!
Yay! Praise God.
But in the same effort, when we lost the baby, which was somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks, he was like, "Are you better yet?" because a 6 to 8 week pregnancy to a man is unfathomable. You look the same. Like, it's just, they can't connect there. Mm-hmm. Whereas when we lost our son at 18 weeks and I was like pregnant and we like saw a baby at the loss, like that was significantly, and then I hemorrhaged and it was crazy. It was a crazy time. And he was affected by that and he could see that, but the hurt of miscarriage is so lonely.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah. It's definitely tough. You're like, I mean, I've only had one miscarriage. And it was like kind of a surprise pregnancy that we weren't expecting. And then we lost it very early. I only knew I was pregnant for a few days. But it's like, who do I tell? Because like I want support. And I called my mom or whatever. And I was like, I found out I'm pregnant. But, it's like you kind of have to say it all in one sentence because you don't want them to say yay. Because like I'm also like holding back tears. So it's like really hard to navigate. And I think, having your husband's support is good. But having them kind of like bear that with you, that responsibility is super important. So it's definitely very sensitive
there's
subject.
Vitamins you should take.
Yeah.
There's chiropractic care. There are things that you should change. There's a lot. You should be taking in a vitamin.
Well, and after our loss, then it like really stirred up in me how much I really wanted to be pregnant. Because like I said, that was kind of a surprise. We weren't really like super trying. So I'm like, okay, wait, seems like I really want to be pregnant. So the next time I'm like, I'm just going to go for it. And I told you, and you're like, you should wait 90 days. You should just have your husband do all the things you just mentioned, supplements, working out, boost testosterone. And I was like, I just want to be pregnant. Like I was just like wanted to fill that, gap so badly. And I was testing my LH, saw I was ovulating, and I thought of you. And I'm like, let's just go for it.
Fun things you never thought you'd hear as a person.
Yeah.
I was ovulating and I thought about you.
Like,
no, it literally, this is what happens to me. I mean,
Yeah.
people pee on a stick and call me before they call their husband. Like I'm in there.
Yeah.
I'm a part. There are babies.
Yeah.
I always say it's a
All
third
together.
my baby.
But it's crazy because I, saying it straight to your face, I didn't listen to you. And sure enough,
learned.
I
You
remember
learned.
about halfway through the pregnancy, I'm like, I just need to tell you something, Dr. Bridget. You were right. It was a really tough pregnancy on me, way tougher than my first. I mean, I was nauseous every other day. My husband would have to take the air fryer outside to cook. I could not smell meat. It would literally make me want to crawl out of my skin. Like things that I heard other women say, like, what do you mean meat aversions? I thought that was the weirdest, dumbest thing ever, but I could not tolerate smells,
Your body didn't feel
sensations.
safe.
I didn't feel good, like at all for 9 months. And so I just want to stick it to the men out there. Like women sacrifice a lot. And if you expect them to sacrifice so much for 9 months, just put in some work for us for 90 days before you just accidentally getting pregnant is great.
Yes.
If you don't plan on it, no problem.
And some people never experience this.
Yeah.
So for the haters that want to comment on this and say, I never experienced that or blah, 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 blah. There are outliers to this. But in general, if I have a woman who has been notoriously ill, I have one lady like horrifically ill, first 3 pregnancies, worked with me for the 4th, had a loss too. She was not sick at all.
Wow.
Only thing that she changed was me listening to my advice. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. I just sit here and you're like, you were right. I'm like, I know I'm right. And that's fine. Like, I know I'm right. I know what I'm saying is true. And whether you want, there's no study for me to prove that other than cases and all of this stuff. Like this is factual, observable knowledge in my practice and in the practices across the country. I worked with Dr. Marcia Schaefer at the Schaefer Protocol. She's a genius. She's studied this stuff forever. It's ridiculous that there's so much pushback to just having your husband be healthy for 4 months minimum before you conceive. And you challenged it and you lost. But we got Lily.
Yeah.
So we're good. And she's adorable and she's cute and she's
We're
wonderful.
going to plan next time. And I will be a case study for you so we can plan ahead. I already got my eyes set. I mean, I'm like I'm pep talking my husband. So just to make sure we have a really good hot take, if a husband sits down in your office and, all eyes on him, what does he need to do to put his best foot forward for his family?
Well, he's probably not taking any vitamins whatsoever. And there's so many vitamins and every case is different. So I don't want to make any like blanket recommendations, but you should be on some sort of multivitamin.
Fill in those
there's
gaps.
there's male prenatals out there. The biggest difference between a chick prenatal and a male prenatal is iron. Okay. So you could take a chick prenatal just because the bottle is pink It doesn't make you a girl, okay? Just make sure it's without iron. And then you need to be taking fats. Sperm are made out of fats. So omegas, choline, you need to be eating fats. There's some oils that I recommend that people do, not essential oils, but like imbibing oils and stuff like that. There's so much to it. But if you're doing nothing, it's not enough. We don't live in the 1900s. Where food had nutrients in it and there wasn't pesticide exposure, where the lights weren't LED everywhere and your body thinks it's 8 a.m. 24/7. Like the stress that we are under in this century is unhinged. Yeah. And so we just have to acknowledge it. Like, sorry, dude.
So de-stress is another one.
De-stress. And that does, I mean, men need stress. Like men function on cortisol differently than women. They are meant to like protect, provide, and work through stuff. So he needs hard stuff. He can wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. He can sleep 4 hours a night. But if his coping mechanisms are doom scrolling or alcohol or drugs or they're even just sleeping pills or whatever, like all that stuff is, if your body's not functioning normally, you can't go to bed, go to sleep, wake up, feel rested, face the day. That's the problem. But men can handle stress. Like they're made to be in a bunker and fight a war. Like they can do it. We are not. Yeah. And again, you can be mad at me in the comments. Girls are just not made for it. Can we do it? Absolutely. My mom raised me to do anything. I could be whatever I wanted to be. But I shouldn't have to.
Or if you're planning to conceive and you want optimal.
Yeah. He needs to be in his masculine, girl, and you need to be in your feminine. Yeah. Like, and so
ideally.
If you are in your masculine in your relationship because you need to pull more weight or you love your career or whatever, that's a lot of the women I see struggle. Hardest people to get pregnant, people who work overnight because they don't have a circadian rhythm. Yeah.
So what would you tell a woman who is having trouble getting pregnant? Now we've addressed the man. Anything a woman should make sure she's doing if they're going to try again?
If she is literally never conceiving, that's when I'm thinking there's something going on with mom. Yeah. If she's conceiving and losing it, I am leaning very heavily on dad. So if you are just never getting pregnant or you've been told you have PCOS or endometriosis or you have you miss cycles or whatever, or you have unexplained infertility, my favorite case to have, because it's usually a nutrient issue, is that you need to be taking care of yourself. You need to eat breakfast, please, a savory breakfast. So many women skip eating. So many women are living like men. They're working out like men, so they're doing the same workout every day, all month long, not honoring their cycle. They're working like men. They don't eat like men. They're cold plunging. Like literally the womb is warm. Now there's ladies out there that cold plunge that get pregnant. I know.
But you're saying if you're having
an issue, these are things that you have to be basically in a very safe place for you to be able to put your body in a situation where it thinks it's dying, which is what cold plunging is. It's that how you get the reaction. They literally think you've fallen in a frozen river. And for you to be safely get through that, you have to be totally copacetic on the outside. Like everything has to be good. And that's not the case. And so many of them are working. So many people quit working and conceive because the stress of work is it's stress. Yeah. And I am a cycle tracker. I love all the information. People are like, oh, could you have your month wrong? No. I could probably tell you the constellations in the sky when I conceive because I'm so obsessed with conception. Because I love it.
Because you use like an Oura ring. Do you test your LH? What are some of the things you do to track your cycle?
I do not test any of my stuff. If I would use the Anito. It's a very good monitor of and you test your urine every morning. It gives you estrogen metabolites, progesterone metabolites, all that. I would definitely do that if I was obsessively tracking. I do use an Oura ring for temperature because it's easy.
And you've taught me, because I got an Oura ring it was before the miscarriage. Once I got my period back after my first, I'm like, I need an Oura ring. That's first line of defense. I'm going to start tracking my cycle. And you told me, even if your temperature spikes, you have to maintain
the temperature spike.
Yeah. So can you explain that way better?
Yeah. So progesterone makes you hot and keeps you hot. So and progesterone is progest as in gestation. So it's pro getting knocked up. That's what progesterone is for. And so if you ovulate, you're going to hit a high temp and then you're going to maintain it for 12 to 14 days. And then if you did not conceive, you're going to drop and then you will know what day your period's coming because you can literally see it. Yeah. And you don't have to get a $400 Oura ring. You can get a basal body temperature. It's going to have 2 decimal points after the temp than versus like when you would test yourself or a kid with. And you can just track that in a fertility tracking chart you can get for free. So you can go 1800s and, well, not 1800s because we need a thermometer, but you can go old school and just do it cheaply. Or if you are a forgetter, which is what I am, you can get an Oura ring and it will track for you. And it'll track lots of stuff. And is there variability in there's discrepancies with Aura's data? There was a whole thing that just came out about it. Yes. I mean, it's a computer robot on your hand. It's not perfect. Y'all, like, just give it a break. Like, just do something nice.
And I just remembered what the major breakthrough I had, and actually why I got the Oura ring is because I asked you, should I just test my LH? And you're like, no, you have to track your temperature because that is the number one sign that you successfully ovulated. Mm-hmm. Your LH can rise and then you
never ovulate.
Don't ovulate. So that's what I was so curious about, because usually what you taught me, so you can, reword it in your own special way that you taught me, but is that if you're under stress, like your LH can be rising, and then if you're under stress or something,
you'll probably be like, no, we're not doing it today. And then you can have another LH surge.
But no actual egg is released.
But if the second try, they will almost always try twice in a healthy woman.
Wow.
It wants to ovulate, because the other thing that progesterone does is it does and this is women who have been on birth control for 1,000 years, because it suppresses progesterone. Every time you ovulate, your body makes, I liken it to a $20,000 deposit in your health bank account. And so every time you're ovulating, you're doing that. And then when you conceive, you go to the bank and you're like, hey, I need $4 million to successfully get this pregnancy until you got through the first 13 weeks. And it goes, if you've been on birth control your whole life, you're like, yeah, no, we don't have it. So that's a potential for a woman not conceiving, right? She's never getting pregnant, and they're like, oh, your progesterone's low. So what do? Take progesterone, do a progesterone suppository, do wild yam cream, take this progestin. It doesn't act the same, and it doesn't teach your body to do its job. And so that progesterone, again, we want the LH surge to come. It triggers the progesterone release. Estrogen does its thing, and then we have this high progesterone, we have the temperature. And so some people will be like, I'm ovulating, I know that I'm confirming ovulation, but I'm not getting pregnant. And I'm like, well, what could be happening if the man's sperm has been tested and he's awesome, which I haven't met a sperm test yet. Haven't had one of a guy, especially with a couple with unexplained fertility, that he was perfect. He's either got a motility or morphology problem, which is they either don't swim or they're weird shaped. Like they got 2 heads or no heads or whatever. And so we'll address that with him. And this is that people don't listen to me. And then they start knocking boots before my time. And then she gets pregnant and then they lose it. Because they were good. They were good enough to get there, but not good enough to stick. And so everyone's like, I want a sticky pregnancy. You need progesterone on your team. You need a really good sperm from him, because he's really driving the first 13 weeks. Yeah. Which is just crazy.
It really is. This unlocked a whole new world for me. So I'm glad we spend so much time on it, because this is what I've wanted to capture, because it's a really hard conversation to have with people, especially if they've experienced a loss. But it's really important, if you're going to try again and not just jump back into it. Like I didn't have a really tough pregnancy. So I didn't take my own advice, but I learned the hard way, and now it's something I've become more passionate about through learning.
And you want to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. And your friend, her husband will be defensive. All men are defensive when faced with their shortcomings is a strong word, but if it has anything to do with them, they're like, it's what? And it's just they're they're a warrior. That's who they are. So there's lots of therapy and communication you got to go through with a guy to do all that. But it's okay. Like, dude, it's okay. Just humble pie yourself and take some dang vitamins and stop doing stupid things. Go to bed, work out, make sure your testosterone's on lock. And you can't fake testosterone. And if you take testosterone, you're killing your sperm. Men who take testosterone are sterile.
What's the number one way to boost testosterone?
Chopping firewood.
I think that's the craziest thing I ever learned from you.
Because you're providing for your family and physically exerting, and you're out in the sunshine. It's literally a triple threat.
I've talked to your husband about hosting a workshop for other husbands, and we all just get a pile of wood and send them to work, and then we'll all get pregnant after at the same time.
And it's hard. We have oak in our yard that Dr. Vin has been working on, and he's like, this is really hard.
But your testosterone's through the roof.
But and then your testosterone gets through the roof. So
I love it.
Go chop wood.
I love that. Yeah. The next thing that I just love that you're so vulnerable about is how tough the first 6 weeks are for you after having a baby. Like the postpartum season of having a brand new baby, whether it's your first or your third or whatever. It's a really crazy time because of the hormonal things you're going through. You have a new member of the family all of a sudden. And I just really appreciate how open you are about that, because I think one thing that makes women probably feel even more isolated than they already do, just, sitting in a dark room, rocking their baby to sleep, totally exhausted and stuff, is that nobody talks about that it's okay to not feel like yourself and to feel like a crazy person and things. So I just appreciate how you shed light on that.
Yeah, the hormone drop is wild.
You call it your dark and twisty first 6 weeks.
So something about me, and I don't think enough women admit this, and there are people that love the newborn stage. I loathe the newborn stage. I just having this potato that's never happy is just not my thing. And so you sleep, you poop, you eat, like, be cool. Like when they get to be 6 months, that's when I really like turn on. I'm like, oh gosh, you're like a person. And so it's hard for me, but I've also I have to this point not had a good postpartum first week ever. I was a home birth transfer with my first. I had to have Karen in the hospital because she failed the test. Nora came out at home, but in 45 minutes. So she came out so fast, there's still fluid in her lungs. So she had to go to NICU. So I've had a golden hour once, but I have not had a week with my baby at home. And so every single pregnancy that I've had, I have just been sobbing in the shower. I don't like my baby. I can't bond with them. Very dark and twisty. Every single time. I was dark and twisty when we lost Isaac at 18 weeks. Like, it has been a very rough time for me. So my husband brought me Vincent. I remember, I'll never forget this day. He brought me Vincent, and Vincent's crying, and his breastfeeding was horrible. It was probably our second week of being parents. And he goes, I think he needs to eat. And I said, no. He goes, what? I said, no, I'm not doing it. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I can't do it. I can't face it. It's going to hurt too much. I can't do it. And he goes, okay. And he took the baby out for probably another 30, 45 minutes and gave him his pinky, because my son wouldn't take a pacifier. He wouldn't take anything. I was a pacifier. Again, hardest baby ever. If you were basing how it went, don't ever base having more kids on how the first one went. Whether it's great or not, it's not going to be the same. And so he came back 45 minutes later, and he's like, I really think he needs to eat. And I was like, fine. But he gave me that space, but I was resigned. I was like, just going through the motions, not even knowing that when my son was 7 weeks old, my mom passed away suddenly. And like not knowing that was coming. Right. So like my hardest was that I was like facing this alone, and it wasn't working. Like, I'm a chiropractor. I should have had a good birth. I'm a chiropractor. I should have an easy time breastfeeding. Like, what the heck? My husband went through pediatric training, and when my son was 15 months old, figured out what adjustment he needed. And it was the first night he ever slept in his entire life, because of how traumatic the doctor was when we transferred to the hospital, because she hated home births and she was mad at me. She called me an idiot right after. I was like, can we delay cord clamps? She's like, what are you, an idiot? Literally.
Welcome to motherhood.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
What
like,
a great pep
this
talk.
isn't what you want. I didn't even have a car seat because I was so confident I was going to have a home birth. They're like, you need the car seat. I'm like, what do I need a car seat for? I'm going to have this baby at home.
We're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I was wrong. And so I tell people all the time, like, you can hate your baby for a minute. Like, you can be mad at them. You can not like them. And they're like, what? There's no way. I'm like, see you on the other side. And there's some people don't experience that, but some people do. And there's so much shame with feeling it. I love my kids. They're everything I wanted since 8th grade. I've had 8 kids, but I went planned, had all their little Irish names picked out. And so I've had a whole bunch of Puerto Ricans. None of those names have happened. And like it's okay to not like a part of motherhood. I really don't love being pregnant. I hate having a limitation in my body. It just bothers me. Like,
you don't really even like breastfeeding.
And I don't like breastfeeding because it's so constant. But the payoff, right? The investment, the stock option for my child of me breastfeeding them. But the second we get to like 13 to 15 months, I'm like, you are going to be done so soon. And people are like, I'm going to breastfeed until there's literally me saying I'm going to breastfeed you till you're 5 in my birth video with my son.
Really?
Yeah. And I as soon as I was pregnant with Karen, I was like, get off me. So again, I'm honestly having these feelings. I'm not a terrible person. I'm just being honest. Other people have these feelings. They're just not honest.
Well, and that's why I wanted to shed light on it, because what you see on social media and I guess maybe just the women who share are like, I love breastfeeding till they're 3 and for as long as I can and all of this, which I mean, it's kind of even the perspective I've had, maybe because I've heard so many people say that. It's like, I'm just going to go as long as I can and stuff. And so I feel like that might invite some of that shame and guilt is for moms who also have the experience that you have, where like, I just don't like this and I want to stop as soon as possible. And then they feel like terrible person or something.
And they're like, I made it to 6 months. I'm like, awesome. They're like, I made it to a year. Awesome.
Yeah.
I had a 13 month, a 15 month, and a 19 month. So Nora really, I mean, after having Isaac die, like she basically gets away with murder. And like, it's true. It's just true. You never have treasured life so much until you've lost it. And like, I treasure my kids so much better. Yeah. Having lost Isaac.
Realizing how vulnerable life truly is.
And how much has to happen for you to even have a kid. Like there's a 24-hour window you can get knocked up. And then it has to literally go perfect from then on out for the first 6 weeks, or you like don't have a brain or don't have a spinal cord or you have all this different stuff. Like it's crazy. And then you have to like successfully get them out and then keep them alive. When you reach your first birthday, you're like, I kept you alive. It's literally a feeling. Every parent feels that. I have not met a single parent who didn't get to the first birthday and been like, there were days I didn't think we were going to get here. Because it's really hard, really beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's crazy.
It really is. It's a wild ride.
It's a wild ride.
Anyway, actually, one thing I want to bring up that you've taught me, and some other moms in our community that have been showing up with kids about the same age as mine, you talk about how you can't keep them from crying. Like, you keep them alive, but they don't have to be happy all the time. Like, it's okay if they're sad. It's okay if they get hurt. Like, you're not going to be able to protect them from everything. You've specifically told me that, and another mom that I can think of right off the top of my head, where you're like, some moms, especially first-time moms, and I won't even say some, I would probably say most first-time moms are like, oh, no, my baby's crying, rush across the room to fix every need in the world. They
shut that off completely and do cry it out. So here, let me clarify this. I am very anti-cry it out. Very anti-cry it out. Yeah. But I am also very pro natural consequences. And I am very pro letting your kid be frustrated and figure things out. And so there is a time and a place. If your kid is beside themselves, pick them up and comfort them. You can't spoil a baby. It's literally not possible. And that's now scientifically proven. And we went through an entire generation of people who were told to put their kid in a room, shut the door, and let them figure it out. And that was our parents' generation. So a lot of us have that, but our parents also had it, depending on where you fall. I was born in 1984, and I was my mom's second batch of kids because she was married 3 times, and she was definitely way more attachment parenting with us than she was with my older sisters, just because of the times. And so your job is not to keep your kid happy. Your job is to make an adult that does not suck, if I can simply put it that way. Yeah. In our family, because we love the Lord, we want a disciple who makes disciples. So they are going to face a lot of things in the world that are going to be hard, that are going to make their life hard. And so if I make their life cake and they never fall and they never scrape a knee or they never cut themselves with a knife because we never let them try, if we protect them from everything, then they have no resilience. And so it's okay. It is okay for your kid to be frustrated. It is okay if you are on your last leg of patience and you have fed your baby and they have a clean diaper and they are tired and they will not go to sleep and you've tried for an hour, for you just to set them down and walk away for a minute, to take a minute, because you're going to snap.
You can't fix everything.
You can't fix everything.
Yeah.
And like for me, my children have always settled on my husband and not me. Like, and I think that I carry 2 half gallons. I don't carry 2 gallons. I got the heavy creams. I got the chubby babies and all that. But my kids eat a lot. I've never had an efficient nurser. I have never had a baby who slept through the night. I have never had a kid that didn't take 25 minutes to eat. Like, I just don't, and they eat very frequently. And I think that's part of my physiology, their physiology. And I'm not mad about it. It's just, I'm accepting what it is. I'm not comparing myself. Let's say Lily sleeps through the night, right? I don't know if that's true or not. I think she was a really great sleeper in the beginning.
Yeah, she's been pretty good.
Yeah, she's been pretty good, right? I've never had that. I don't know what that is. Karen woke up until 5, twice a night, 11:30 and 1:30. I could say.
She was 5 years
old. She was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Vincent, same thing. He started sleeping through the night at 6. And so my kids have never slept through the night. So when people are like, well, my kid sleeps through the night, I'm like, great. I don't have that kid. And I don't think that my kid is wrong and your kid is right. I don't think that your kid is wrong. I'm just accepting my kid. And I think that's important. And I'm accepting I have an anxiously wired child because it was our first kid. And I was anxious and we were running a business and everything was hard. And my mom passed away. Like he had a rough first year. And we didn't know how to adjust him. And then we had Karen, who is an angel baby, literally the most perfect baby. You could set her down. She would go to sleep. Like you didn't have to do this crazy. You could just put her somewhere and she would be out. Remember when you put Lily down the other day and you were like, what is this? I was like, yeah, it's not the first kid.
Yep.
And then Honora's medium. She's a medium hard baby, but she's a pretty decent sleeper. She sleeps better than the other two did at her age, but she still doesn't sleep through the night. It's okay. It's so okay. Funny. Don't compare yourself to somebody else's kid, their journey. They don't have the same husband as you. They don't have the same in-laws as you. They don't have the same temperament. I have three humans who have come out of my body that I hang with out on a daily basis. They are completely different. Look at your family. Look at your siblings if you're lucky to have siblings. They all came from the same parents. And how different are you? Accept that.
Yeah. And it's such a fun Russian roulette. You never know who's going to be next. Yeah. What,
I'm
part
like,
of your
who
family.
are you?
Yeah.
I don't even know if you're a boy or girl, but are you calm? Are you peaceful? Are you going to be more chaotic than the rest of them? I have a woman, she had her 4th kid. He is insane. Wow. She never worried about her kid. She was not, and he is going to break every bone in his body. He is just I don't wish that on you. I don't speak that over your life, my love. But he is just crazy. He makes her heart jump out of her body. And that's her 4th kid. Right? So you don't know what you're going to get.
Well, that's a perfect bridge into the other thing that I'm really excited to talk about, which is your desire for a big family. What does your self-talk look like? Because you have this beautiful picture of what you want, of the Thanksgiving table in 20 years and the big impact you can make. So in the hard moment when you're scrubbing dishes and you don't feel good and you're having a tough day, what are you saying to yourself? Because you're you still want more kids.
Yeah.
So what motivates you specifically?